Okay, so today I will be ranting, but not just any kind of rant, an organized one. It's probably not something I'm gonna do often, but this week I think that it's necessary. This week, something very obvious occurred to me while scrolling through Instagram and seeing a post that said something like, what would you do if you knew that failure wasn't an outcome? How hard would you try if you knew that you would succeed? And a million different aspirations popped into my head that up until recently I would have never actually tried for, and the main thing stopping me was a fear of failure. It's something that I've been working on since I started this channel, but didn't realize that it was one of the biggest factors in why I haven't achieved a lot of these goals that I myself decided were unobtainable, like being a YouTuber or being self-employed. And I'm not saying these things to throw myself a pity party, because fear of failure is something that affects literally everyone. Well, almost everyone. Everyone that's normal. If it doesn't affect you, then congratulations. But in this video, I'm going to talk about where that fear of failure comes from, how it's affecting you, and how to fix it. So stay tuned or skip to the end if you only care about that last part. I'm going to share a few things with you that I've started doing because I think that these things could help a lot of other people begin to pursue their goals as well. And it's so crazy to me because since I started doing these things, I've actually had somebody else reach out to me about running a paid social media account and someone reach out to me to be their life coach. Me. So I promise these things work, they just don't happen overnight, but I've had some pretty quick results myself. So for those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Taryn Aaliyah, and I make videos about how to improve yourself while simultaneously working to improve myself. And if you're a returning viewer, then welcome back and thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. But back to it. So to start, where does fear of failure come from? The answer to this question is going to be slightly different for everyone, but it primarily comes from the fact that you care way too much about what people think of you. It's not that you're afraid to fail, you're afraid of the consequences of that failure. Meaning you think people might make fun of you or think less of you if you try at something and you don't succeed. Or you're afraid of wasting your time and your money on something that might not end up being successful. And this form of thinking is what's going to hold you back the most. You're not afraid to pursue the things you want, but you're afraid of not being able to handle the rejection or the failure that could accompany it. And social media culture isn't helping. Everything you do nowadays has an audience. And even if you're really good at something, knowing that there's people out there watching you, potentially even judging you, can make you second guess yourself and your abilities. So essentially, there are a ton of external factors that are affecting your ability to pursue your internal wants and desires. And don't worry, I'll explain that concept later. So 2. How fear of failure is affecting you is simple. You're only making decisions that you think are safe. You're only setting obtainable goals for yourself so that you don't have to worry about failure or rejection. You ask other people their opinions before you make big life decisions, which isn't a bad thing, but then that lends itself to allowing other people to project their fears onto you. And at some point when you decide you really want these things because you see other people that have them or other people that have been successful in them, but you've made no steps yourself toward it, you get frustrated with yourself, and then that creates a sense of self-doubt that's perpetuated. And people don't mean any harm by projecting their fears onto you. It's just natural. I've even seen this in myself. A few months ago, I found out that a younger relative of mine was pursuing their hobby full-time after they graduated high school, and I was astounded. I didn't say anything, but in my head I was like, no, that is not a good idea. You should go to college and get a safe degree so that you can get a job and not have to worry about money when you're older. And looking back, I'm so glad I didn't say anything like that to that person, because that's the type of thinking that is so negative and ingrained and contagious that it's ridiculous. So next time somebody's telling you about aspirations that you think are insane, if you don't have anything nice or encouraging to say, just say, that sounds exciting, good luck. So how to fix your fear of failure is a little bit more complicated and requires some slight discipline, but you're more than capable because this is what I did. But first, you have to understand this concept of the sphere of influence. Basically, your internals are your character, your values, your wants, desires, and behavior, and the externals are everything else. Your past, the thoughts and behaviors of others, your friends, your family, your reputation, and your wealth. And what you have to understand and actually believe is that only these things matter. Your internals are the only things that are within your control. This is what you have power over, and this is what you can change. Don't worry about any of the externals because these are the things that are out of your control. No matter how much you worry about them, they will not change. And I know that it's difficult to just not care what people think, but that's what it's gonna take to overcome your fear of failure. And that's not to say be a jerk or treat other people badly, but if you're doing things that excite you and inspire you and you're not harming anybody else, do what you like doing and don't look back. Literally put on your hater blockers and ignore everything that falls into the external section to the best of your ability. The second thing that I think is absolutely crucial is to start some sort of journal. It doesn't have to be fancy or even a real physical one. If you're feeling lazy, just start a note on your phone. But this isn't a diary. You don't have to write in it every day or even every week. It's a journal to write in when you're feeling inspired and only when you're feeling inspired. This is what mine looks like. Only good vibes are allowed. And this technique is especially helpful for creatives, but it can be beneficial in any field. If you get a really good idea for something you want to pursue, then write down the idea and write down why you think it's a good idea. That way, when you're feeling uninspired, which is probably the majority of how we spend our time, you can look back on this idea that you were really excited and really confident about, and hopefully the inspired version of yourself rubs off on the uninspired version of yourself, if that makes sense. And the last tip that I have for the day is to take a break from social media or cut back on it entirely. I don't think that it's bad to have social media accounts because for some of us, it's a tool for inspiration and creativity. But when social media turns into something where you're jealous of other people or you're setting your goals exclusively based on what someone else has, it can be a very negative thing that holds you back and wastes your time that you could be spending pursuing your goals. And if you don't think that you spend a lot of time on social media, I dare you to test that theory. If you have an iPhone, go to your settings, go to your battery, hit the last 10 days section, and look at the breakdown. I personally spent almost 11 hours on Instagram in the last 10 days, which isn't terrible because that averages out to about an hour a day. But in 11 hours, I could have researched, written, recorded, and edited a whole nother YouTube video. Do you see what I'm getting at? How you spend your time is how you've set up your priorities. So if you're spending an hour a day on social media, but putting 0 hours a day into pursuing your goals, then you've prioritized social media over your personal goals. And what are you getting from social media that lasts or benefits you? But this is me yelling at myself about my usage numbers. What are yours? And are you spending more or less time than you thought you were on social media? Let me know. But that concludes my organized rant, so I hope you forgive me for yelling at you, and I hope that you implement some of those suggestions into your daily activities, and if not, at least start to differentiate which of the things holding you back are external factors that you should ignore or internal factors that you need to work on. And if you've already struggled with fear of failure and you've figured out something that works for you that I didn't include, feel free to drop it in the comments because it might help somebody else. And don't forget, if you liked this video, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then what are you waiting for? I make videos like this one every week. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.